was very scared. I was scared if I lost my sight, what is it going to mean? I've always been independent, and I started to take it seriously.
His ophthalmologist diagnosed Michael with advanced retinopathy caused by his diabetes. The disease, over time, affects the circulatory system of the retina by weakening the arteries. They in turn will hemorrhage, and these leaking vessels often lead to swelling and decreased vision. Other symptoms include blurriness, floating spots, and sudden blindness. If detected early, retinopathy can be treated, but usually its symptoms don't show up until well after the most serious damage is done. Michael's retinopathy diagnosis fell into this category.
He wanted me to come back within the next week. He wanted to start the process of lasering my eyes. So I went for a second opinion, and he put the fear of God into me that I'm going to have, my eyes lasered, I'll be disabled, and eventually to blindness.
Michael decided to allow doctors to perform the pan-retinal photocoagulation procedure on his right eye. This laser surgery is intended to stop the progression of the condition by sealing leaking blood vessels.
It was just painful. It was very invasive. And I didn't feel good about it. And I would not recommend it for anybody.
The doctor wanted him to have surgery again on the other one, and here he's not really sure of the first eye.
Michael was always doubtful with doctors that couldn't there be something that he could do?
Monitored him 4 times a day, and it's pretty intense to make this work right.
My blood sugar was coming down. I believe my blood sugar was maybe in the 80s, which is very normal. And I stopped taking all medication.
The second week is addressing what we call the psycho-emotional aspects. And almost everybody with diabetes has psycho-emotional aspects. It's just the way it is.
Metaphysically speaking, if there's a cause for diabetes, what has been written is that diabetes is about looking for sweetness outside of yourself.
The truth is, there's never enough food for a hungry soul. So we address that because you have to be able to live this lifestyle.
It was about me. It was about me not feeling good about myself. It was about me looking for love outside of myself, which are all psychological symptoms of the diabetes.
The third cycle is training people of how to prepare proper foods. And what we mean by proper food is low glycemic, meaning no sugar. Once they're stable in what we call non-diabetic physiology, then they can move to what we call phase 1.5 and can have what we call low glycemic foods. Still, forever no white sugar, because it's really not good for anybody.
The changes that Michael experienced in just the first few days convinced him that he had made the right decision.
It was amazing. I felt my strength coming back. And then, all of a sudden, I went through a healing crisis. And for the remainder of my stay, I was very sick. My system was starting to clean itself out and starting to rebuild itself. But in the process, I felt really, really, really bad.
He was so weak from his toxicity, and as he came, he was already weak, that there were times that we literally had to carry him to the next program.
It was not a pretty point in my life. And I just really didn't know sometimes if I was going to get through the day.
Michael's dramatic and debilitating response to the detoxification was difficult for him. But Dr. Cousins had seen this often in his patients. It was also apparent that Michael was getting better.
When Michael first came, his blood sugar hit about 240. By the time he finished the program, he was somewhere between 80 and 90. Less than 100 is considered within normal. His cholesterol was down to 157, which is completely normal. We like to call that a success.
When Michael returned home, he was still weak, but encouraged. He would now move into the next phase of the recovery program.
I went out there for 3 weeks, the middle of January, came back about the second week in February. If you saw me, I was probably about 175 pounds, give or take.
I would just encourage him to keep doing what he's doing. And so little by little, he kept saying he was all right and that he was getting stronger every day.
To understand why our program works is really understanding that it's a radical approach to healing diabetes. Now, what's radical about it is we're saying you really got to change your lifestyle. You really do need to go plant source only, to not have sugar. You need to exercise. You're naturally going to lose weight. These are radical things for most people.
Michael had started to get his diabetes under control. His optometrist, however, refused to treat him if he didn't agree to more eye surgery. So Michael looked elsewhere. After a quick check in the phone book, he found exactly what he was looking for.
It said nutritional optometry, and that was Dr. Ben Lane.
As a nutritional optometrist, I've been studying the relationship of nutritional factors to eye conditions.
He told me that I had minimal retinopathy and that there was a touch of glaucoma, but with the raw food diet, the glaucoma is healing also.
Dr. Lane ran a series of tests to determine what nutritional deficiencies might be contributing to Michael's deteriorating eyesight.
We found with Michael's case, he was extremely low in red blood cell chromium and high in the antagonist to chromium vanadium.
Being at a nutritional optometrist, he will give me a chromium supplement as opposed to a regular optometrist who will just want to laser my eye and tell me that's the end of it.
He was already doing an excellent job in going to raw foods and starting to get vitamins and nutrients that he needed and starting to lose weight and starting to normalize his blood sugar level. So I think what we did mainly was to give Michael support and monitor and see that he doesn't get into trouble.
After working so hard to get to this point, Michael had no intention of letting himself or his family down again.
Michael's recovery from his diabetes is nothing less than miraculous.
I couldn't believe it. I didn't think that there was any cure for sugar diabetes. And to look at him today and he's smiling, it's a whole new Michael.
You have to get your mind right first to get your body right. And then once you start doing those things, other things in your life will be right.
I feel extreme joy and happiness for him, and also selfishly for myself because, you know, he's my dear friend. And I know that it's important to him to have the same quality of life that he's always experienced.
What I want to do is show people that have quote unquote incurable diseases that nothing is incurable.
Michael Collins's lifelong battle with food and his refusal to acknowledge the severity of his diabetes could have cost him a lot more than his eyesight. Fortunately, he decided to take responsibility for his health, and with a naturopathic approach, he was able to regain control of his health and save his life.